Euromaxx highlights. And here's your host, Karin Helmstedt.
Greetings from Berlin and welcome to our highlights edition. And here's a look at some of what's coming up on today's programme. Matchstick Man. Scottish artist David Mach sets the world on fire. Rough ride. Euromaxx goes dog sledding in northern Norway. And woodwork photographer Michael Lange and his forest images. But we begin in Florence, Italy, with Carla Braccialini, who many decades ago realised her entire household was quite literally in her handbag. Well, that revelation led her to make a career creating unusual leather bags. Today, the 81-year-old designer runs the family business with her 3 sons, and her latest handbag coup, coming out in March in a limited edition, is inspired by a most illustrious designer.
A luxury handbag inspired by a Renaissance master. Its name, La Preziosa, the precious one. The original sketch from Leonardo da Vinci's Atlantic Codex is more than 500 years old. It served as the model for this design. In collaboration with the Leonardo da Vinci Ideal Museum in Florence, designer Carla Braccialini worked to preserve every detail revealed in the original 15th century drawing.
It was an honor for us to create a bag using a drawing of Leonardo da Vinci. That's not a chance you get every day. It was a challenge, and we felt like we were part of a truly valuable project.
To meet with modern-day standards, the manufacturers have used a softer leather than would have been available back in da Vinci's day. Embroiderers copy the sketch's detailed pattern onto the bag. Other craftsmen manufacture the brass catch. It takes more than 2 days to complete a bag like this.
This isn't a fashion bag. It's a universal piece. It's timeless, just like the brilliance of Leonardo.
That brilliance has its price. This bag is tagged at €3,000. As with Braccialini's other collections, it's produced here at her workshop in Florence. The 81-year-old designer opened her business in 1954. She's become known in the industry for designs ranging from the entirely practical to the wildly creative. Her bags come in the shape of everything from automobiles to animals, all crafted by hand. But that comes at a price. Most of these items cost around €1,000 apiece. One of Braccialini's earliest designs was this house. She came up with the idea after her own handbag was stolen.
I made it just for fun, because you pretty much carry your entire house with you in your bag. Of course, you need to be able to make ideas like this work. And the bags need to be practical enough for everyday use.
Braccialini regularly holds fashion shows like this one last year in Milan. It's uncommon for bag designers to have their own shows. Her pieces are the stars of the runway. The designer says that they should be worn with a bit of attitude, something Braccialini herself does with ease. Despite her status as an industry heavyweight, she doesn't take herself too seriously. The company's history is rooted in Florence's medieval town center. This is where the first workshop was opened in 1954. It's now just one of 37 shops run by the company worldwide. 60% of production is destined for overseas markets. Braccialini's eye-catching bags have an international following. Braccialini belongs to a group owned by the traditional Florentine fashion house Gherardini, which is now producing 99 limited edition Da Vinci bags.
I had some worries at the beginning that Leonardo da Vinci wouldn't have been happy with me. I have, in fact, used his drawing as the basis for a commercial product.
But the customers seem to be happy enough. Orders for the designer bag are coming in from all over the world. Proof that da Vinci's ideas continue to inspire 500 years on.
Sculptor David Mach of Scotland gets very excited about ordinary things that most people would simply discard. He uses them to make some very unusual sculptures, some of which make political statements and many of which inhabit public spaces. Well, a former Turner Prize nominee, Mach's works are always striking and original, so we met up with him in one of his very rare free moments.
Everyday materials in an extraordinary context. That's David Mach's trademark. Playing cards depict the images of comic book figures. Wooden matches form a man's head. Wire coat hangers become monstrous animal heads. And colourful candy wrappers turn into delicate human figures.
You asked me that question, why do I use all these different materials as if I'm some sort of nut? You know, maybe I am. Maybe I've become over the years a kind of materials junkie. You know, where I just can't get my hands on enough stuff to make things with. You know, I certainly feel like that. I get very excited by material and what I might be able to do with that.
David Mach has 3 different studios around Britain. He makes heads from matches in his London studio. Depending on the size of the head, it can take him up to 5 months to build one of these sculptures. They fetch as much as €20,000 at auction. He created his first one of these in 1982.
I got a review about a show that I'd done. I'd used thousands of magazines to make sculpture, and the reviewer said, "This guy's like somebody who makes the Eiffel Tower at the weekend at matches." And I thought, you know, well, nobody actually, you know, they don't use matches, they use small pieces of wood. So I thought I'll use matches. And I made the first head. And it took me ages to make. It was a pain in the to complete.
A buyer once accidentally ignited a head made of matches. Since then, David Mach has used this material for fiery performance art.
So it's a bit of a cheat, really, to use that material in a way. And it's nothing. You don't go home at night, "Wow, I guess I found some fantastic matches today, dear." You know, I do. Sadly, I do. Nobody else does, you know. I like that. I like the nothingness of them.
Mach also works large scale. One of his many open-air installations, Out of Order, can be seen to the west of London. He created his first giant sculpture in 1983, a nuclear submarine made of 6,000 car tyres. One of his critics tried to set it on fire, but without success.
I like things that are in life, that are in your life, whether you like it or not, you know. You know those things, you live with those things, you moan about those things, you're happy about this, you know. Who knows what your relationship with those things are, but you do have a relationship. That immediately connects me to you if I start to use that stuff, you know.
Mach's use of everyday but unconventional materials is also displayed in a London office building. His Spaceman is made of thousands of wire coat hangers and was inspired by the TV broadcast of Neil Armstrong's first steps on the moon in 1969.
So snobbish in the art world, you know. What do you do? How do you do it? How do you make it? Where do you show? How much you sell for? Blah, blah. And I'm very wary of that, you know. And the idea of making something with coat hangers is so offensive to that. I sort of like it for that reason, you know. Yeah.
David Mach's most recent work, also made of wire coat hangers, is currently on display in London's Southwark Cathedral, a crucifixion. In recent years, Mach has made several sculptures with Christian religious motifs. It's the kind of work that everyone has an opinion on. After completing a marathon exhibition tour, the work will be sold for about €700,000. Some collectors have already indicated interest.
Well, now for a holiday idea that's sure to change your relationship to nature and to beast. We're heading up to Inset in the very far north of Norway, where we found a couple that runs a husky farm. Now, in the winter months, they offer some downright challenging dog sledding tours, and that's a sport that's certainly lots of fun, but rarely an easy ride for the mushers themselves.
As every husky puppy knows, a little reward follows each outing. Regina Elpers maintains a total control over her 9 young charges. She and her partner Björn Klauer run a husky farm and offer dog sled tours around Norway. Many of the tours take several days.
What's most enjoyable is watching the dogs have fun on the road. And when there's a good group like the one today, with guests who are fit, know what they're doing, understand the dogs and fit into this environment, then it can all be great fun.
5 German tourists have booked a 12-day tour for about 3,500 euros each. The participants all get their own dog sleds, but the tour will only be a success if everyone is prepared.
Der kommt hier hinten ans Geschirr, der Lange. Und der Kurze.
Björn Klauer runs through some theory and then takes them on a 1-hour trial run. He checks to see if any of the guests needs extra help or tips. Every participant has to know how to handle their team. The tour will take them up through the sparsely inhabited mountains along the Norwegian-Swedish border. The test drive is a real challenge for the rookie mushers.
You have to watch several things at once. You have to steer around a tree, and then the dogs get tangled up. Then you brake and watch the range so you don't run over them. It's definitely an experience that grabs you, but it'll get easier.
The next morning, Björn gives a few last instructions and everyone hitches up. Each sled carries up to 250 kilos of gear. And then the mushers add their own weight. That's how much the huskies have to pull. The dog sleds will cover around 350 kilometers in the next 10 days. The holiday may not be very restful, but it's a unique experience. And with the long winters north of the Arctic Circle, the snow will be good for dog sledding tours through late May.
Did I say tough? Well, snow or not, the outbreak of spring here in the Northern Hemisphere on March 21st coincides with the International Day of the Forest. Now, that's a day to mark the importance of forests that's been observed since the 1970s. And the good news in Germany is that forest areas have increased in recent years thanks to successful reforestation. Well, Germans are very attached to their green spaces, and one striking example of that is a brand new series of photos by Michael Lange.
Here in Germany, the forest remains a powerful icon of national identity. Even today, nearly a third of the country is still thick with pine, beech, fir, and oak trees. They are the setting for the 50 photographs that make up Michael Lange's collection of forest images. To create the series, Lange spent 3 years roaming through Germany's forests. He says he gets his best shots at twilight or on overcast days.
The twilight offers a major advantage. During the daylight, when you see the sun in the forest, you can't help but say, "This is so beautiful." With all the lovely play of light, you hardly know which way to look. But at twilight, it's very different. The forest goes silent and reveals a world completely different from the daytime one.
During the day, Lange goes scouting for subjects and makes initial test shots. He wanders around until he sees an interesting scene, one that opens a new perspective on the forest. Then he marks the spot so he can find it later. When the weather is bad enough, he returns to the spot. One finished image is put together from several shots. The result imitates what the eye actually sees, without distortion.
My basic premise is that we're all confronted with a vast quantity of images every day. And we live in a society that continually grabs us and stimulates us visually. I want my images to create a space filled with silence. My photograph should be peaceful and calming. When I was a child, the forest was the place where I knew nothing could happen to me.
Michael Lange grew up near Heidelberg. Like many Germans, his childhood was shaped by the surrounding forest.
We all grow up with the forest. We have our grandparents' stories, the stories of our childhoods. So we all have roots in the forest.
Germanic sagas and legends also have their roots in the forest. But today's forests are more like managed woodlots for logging and recreational purposes. Very little primeval forest survives, even if some 75 types of tree are native to Germany. Michael Lange tries to break free of all the cultural deadwood with his images. He meticulously assembles the images on a computer in his Hamburg studio. They're printed in a photo lab and can be up to 1.5 by 2 meters in size. The final print is open to interpretation.
The legends are there, but everyone sees his own legends. I don't want to dictate a specific perspective, and I believe I've achieved that. I don't want to tell the viewers they have to see it this way or that way. Instead, I try to create a space where everyone can see their own image of the forest.
The result is a series of photographs in which the power and the mystery of the forest remain very much alive.
Well, from forests to flowers, and Thierry Boutemy is a man who makes it seem like springtime just about all year round. The French floral designer is based in the Belgian capital, Brussels, and his take on floral design goes for a distinctly natural look. He now does the flowers for everything from film sets to catwalks.
A tiny work of art is being created. Frenchman Thierry Boutemy only works with flowers he has selected himself and that inspire him. It's important they appear natural. For Boutemy, nature is more forceful than fancy effects.
We live in such a highly developed world. Sometimes people don't even know how to appreciate the beauty of something so simple.
Most of the customers to Boutemy's studio in Brussels are regulars. An average bouquet costs around 60 euros.
His work hints at the personality of the man behind it. He's not a regular florist, he's an artist.
His work is featured alongside big names like Lady Gaga in this shoot by Mario Testino. Lancôme wanted a rose garden to present their latest collection. And Thierry also supplied flowers for the French fashion house Lanvin.
I enjoy working on projects with other artists, like Sofia Coppola and Mario Testino. It's nice to create something artistic together.
Thierry Boutemy remains down to earth. He finds inspiration and refuge in nature. He's been fascinated by the outdoors since his childhood in Normandy. As a young boy, he wanted to be a gardener.
For me, nature is a retreat. Here I can be alone. I can hide myself away, protect myself.
He only lives in the city for business reasons.
In the country, people are surrounded by nature. They have everything. My customers are city people who value my work, which has something to do with nature. I return nature to them.
His shop in Brussels is the fulfillment of a childhood dream. Boutemy purchases the flowers himself once a week from a distributor in the Netherlands. He travels a lot: New York, Milan, Paris. His wife helps to organize his trips. They've been together for 6 years.
When my husband arranges flowers, it seems to me like he's not even thinking about it. He just does it. I find that really impressive.
His next project is already in the works: the floral arrangements for a film.
I'd like to arrange the flowers so it looks like they're flying. A little crazy. I don't know how yet, but I'd like that.
Whether they fly or just sit in a vase, Thierry Boutemy's arrangements are clearly the work of someone who speaks the language of flowers.
And finally, if Britain has its Banksy, Germany also has its own star of the street art scene, and his name looks a little bit like the kisses and hugs that you might put at the bottom of an email. He pronounces it XOOOX, spelled XOOOOX, and much like Banksy himself, he wishes to remain anonymous. Well, that's because street art, of course, uses public spaces as its canvas, and therefore much of what these artists do is, strictly speaking, illegal. An interview with XOOOX is hence also difficult, but our reporter did manage it.
These life-size stenciled images have popped up in various corners of Berlin, created by XOOOX, an artist who has no identity, but plenty of profile. In his secret studio in the German capital, he sprays images onto wood for commercial sale. This one is of Sofia Coppola. He's been making art with spray cans since the age of 13.
It was in the summer holidays when we'd be out in the neighborhood on our bikes. We found an aerosol can in a car park, which someone apparently left there after spraying their car wheels. We took it to our hangout under an old railway bridge, where we began experimenting with it. Suddenly, we noticed it had a kind of magic.
Einfach so und haben gemerkt, ja, das hat irgendwie eine Magie.
In the 18 years since then, the Polish-born street artist has literally made his mark across Europe, in Rome, Vienna, London, and other cities. The authorities see his delicate creations as vandalism and as illegal.
Das ist jetzt so richtig
In the case of facades that are already covered in posters and art, nobody even notices. People think it's an improved wall. But if it's a freshly painted wall, then I wait until the evening or the night. It's stressful and you have to work fast, but it's all part of the game.
Ja, das nimmt man in Kauf. Das ist natürlich Stress und man muss schnell arbeiten.
In the relaxed confines of his studio, he prepares his stencils. One of the reasons for posting his work in public spaces is to access people who would otherwise have little exposure to art.
A pretty woman in a pretty dress on a rancid and crumbling old wall. And the woman also crumbles away. She's part of the wall.
Die Frau zerfällt dann mit. Die lebt praktisch mit der Wand mit.
He takes his models and motifs from photos in glossy lifestyle magazines. The transient nature of the resulting art is intentional.
People spend too much time thinking about superficial things like appearance and status symbols that don't last. Your car might be fancy today, but in 10 years' time it won't be. There's too much energy being wasted on things like that.
The artist now has regular exhibitions, like this one in Berlin. XOOOX has featured in international auctions, alongside works by Andy Warhol and Damien Hirst, and his commercial popularity has grown accordingly.
He exudes a kind of uniqueness. You don't directly see the link to street art, where people normally think of graffiti.
It's like art from life. These people are part of life. The others too. But these are more authentic and direct.
At this show, the spotlight isn't on the work XOOOX is best known for. Stencils of women are on display in a small room. There's a greater focus on paintings, photographs, and urban sculptures, reflecting his desire to evolve as an artist.
Well, that's all for now, but hope you'll be joining us again next time, same place. And until then, thanks for watching from all of us here in Berlin. Tschüss and auf Wiedersehen.